Afternoon, guys, girls. Sean here from School of Crime. And first of all, I just want to say, I haven't done any videos for a couple of weeks, so I don't really want to fall into that hole of not doing any videos or just doing videos for the sake of it. I want my quantity of videos to be quite good quality. First of all, I don't know if any of you have seen it. Last weekend, I went up to Newcastle and did a interview on Ricky Colleen's Behind the Bars TV, and he made me very welcome, very relaxing, and he's got a lovely gym up there, lovely equipment, and also he's got a boxing gym there, punch bags, water bag, boxing ring, it's great. But obviously I was in the studio part for the interview, and I thought it went really well, and it's had 2,000 over two. I think it's had 2,700 views, which is not bad for me as a newcomer. So thanks a lot for that, Ricky, and I really appreciate that, fella. And also I want to say thanks to Lee Gray, who today mentioned about he loves watching a bit of School of Crime, and it's little comments like that from Lee that make me want to carry on and keep doing the videos, because I'll be honest with you, I do suffer a little bit of anxiety and depression. As you know, I'm on medication for it, and sometimes that can get a bit out of control. Just lying around doing nothing does not help the depression at all. Even if it's just doing a video like this or going for a walk somewhere around the block, it helps. So today's video I was going to talk about various things really, but but as we're on mental health and addiction and stuff, I go right back to the day, to the days of when I first started going away. When I was first in jail, which was young offenders, it was 1986, and the first time I was in a prison with a toilet in the cell was 1991, so that's like 5 years later, because all the older prisons, they didn't have toilets in the cells back then, so I think I might have mentioned this before. I remember going to Wormwood Scrubs in 1990. I must have just been turned 21 in 1990, and I'd had a full-blown, bad drug habit for a few years, so I knew I was going to be in trouble, in a lot of trouble. I didn't have any of my own drugs. And the thing is, in there, unless you know someone or someone's half decent, no one clues you up about nothing. If you're asking questions and, to other cons or even screws, even to a certain extent in there, Wormwood Scrub screws, not always the best of screws. But like I say, when I saw the doctor, like you see the doctor as you go through when you first go through reception, when you've been remanded. I think I was on B wing, which was a really long wing, and it's and benzos, you know. So he says, right, I'm going to give you something, I'm going to write you up for something, our little detox program, we're going to write you up for that. I think it lasts maybe a week or 2 weeks. And I thought, oh, that's something. I thought maybe he's going to write me up with some benzos and some methadone or something, you know. That'll ease it off a bit, you know, that'll make things a lot easier. And so we've done that, you know, but he didn't tell me what I'll be getting, you know, because you go through a 24-hour phase where you get nothing at all, you know, under observation, but before you get any medication. And I was to go to the medication hatch on the wing, on B wing, the following morning, and that was that. And I went to my cell. I was banged up with Anthony McCoy. He was a really nice fella. He was a friend of mine called Reese Murphy. Rest in peace, Reese, who sadly passed away due to the drugs many years ago. One of my best friends. And yeah, he knew Reese. And basically, you know, I was having this conversation with Tony McCoy about, I'm in withdrawal and, you know, it's going to be bad, you know, I won't be able to sleep, you know, and of course I'm going to have to shit on a bit of newspaper, you know, and wrap it up and into a shit parcel and throw it out the window and all that sort of stuff. And because Anthony McCoy, because he knew people and he knew people on that sort of scene that had been users, and he'd done a lot of bird and he'd seen it before, even though he wasn't a user of heroin himself, you know, maybe a bit of sniff here and there, but you don't get physical withdrawal from that. He understood, and he was well all right about it, you know, because some people, you know, if you're in a double or a free up, could be very, very funny if you're going through that sort of withdrawal. They won't put up with it, you know, especially back then. So basically, somehow I managed to get through the night, you know, used up a few newspapers, you know, shitting in newspaper and throwing it out the window. That's a shit parcel, you know, and peeing in my piss pot, which is like your plastic piss pot, because there's no toilet there, you know. And you know, if you're embarrassed, you can put one of your sheets across, make a line and put that across the cell if you want a bit of privacy. So basically, I was up all night vomiting, peeing a lot as well into the piss pot, vomiting, you know, chucking it all into newspaper, throwing it out of the bars. And then I think it would land onto the ones there outside, and that'd all be picked up eventually by the Wombles. So basically, yeah, Anthony's just gone to sleep, slept through most of it. As soon as the doors were open for breakfast, you know, between 7:30, 8 o'clock, first thing I can think of is medication. I might be getting some medication, because when I was talking to Anthony about this, he wouldn't have known, because like I say, he wasn't a heroin addict or anything like that, so he wouldn't have known the regime on what sort of meds you would get in there. So basically, yeah, I've got up and gone down to the medical hatch, you know, told them my name, and then basically they've got two little, you know, those little plastic medical, you know, for the, say you buy a bottle of Cowpole, those little plastic pot things, you know, that are for measuring medication out in. The first one was bright yellow liquid, and the second one was like an electric pink liquid. So first of all, they give me one of them, and I think it was the yellow liquid, and then I said, well, what's this one? And they said, well, that's amitriptyline. That's an antidepressant, and that'll help you sleep, you know. and maybe even help with some of the pain. And I thought in my head, I didn't say this to Screw, I thought, well, that's a load of old bollocks, if ever I've heard it, because I've had that stuff before from when I was a little kid from the doctor, you know, and that ain't gonna help you if you're having heroin withdrawals. Trust me that. On that one, yeah. So I've drunk it anyway, you know, because if anything, you know, maybe it'll help me get a little bit of sleep, because I hadn't slept since I've been in the police station and been there. So I haven't slept for like getting on for 72 hours already. And then the next thing he was giving me is this pink liquid, electric sort of pink coloured liquid, and this cap full of that as well. And he said this is called Thorazine or Mellaril. And this stuff's been banned now, and that's the stuff that they give to the real, you know, the real crazy people. So basically they said, well, this will stop you moving around and, you know, all the body popping, as I say, you know, because you can't stop moving, you can't sit still when you're in withdrawal. So I thought, I had heard of it before, you know, and I knew it was meant to be a bit of a nasty drug, a chemical straitjacket basically, is what it was. So basically I drank it thinking, well, it can't make me feel any worse than what I already do, you know, but actually it did, you know. So anyway, after that it was breakfast, you know, straight to breakfast with the old metal trays for your bit of toast, your little patty of margarine, and your little sausage, your boiled egg, and your cup of tea, which was like from the tea urn, you know, and away you went up to your cell with that, you know, and depending on whether you was working or not, you know. Me, I wasn't working, so I would have been in the cell, and he wasn't working. So, you know, then we'd wait from this. By now it's about 8:30, then we wait till about 10:30, then it's morning exercise. And I remember being out in exercise, morning exercise. It was a really sunny day. I think it must have been about possibly late August or early September. I'm not sure now, but what made me laugh was I felt like I was all you know, shuffling around, and all my mouth was gammy and dry from the medication that they'd given me, and I was actually feeling worse than what I was before in a lot of ways, you know. And I was looking at some of the guys walking around the wing, you know. I remember seeing these guys 2-3-handed walking around with cowboy hats on, you know, leopard skin jackets and cowboy boots, snakeskin cowboy boots, you know. And I found it fascinating, you know. It was like the whole of the exercise yard was really cosmopolitan, but it turned out, you know, at the time, Wormwood Scrubs handled all the cons that had been nicked at Heathrow Airport, you know. So obviously these Colombians, you know, they'd probably been nicked for drug smuggling or something, you know. And I met another guy I used to talk to who was a diplomat's son, and obviously he was caught coming over from Afghanistan, and there was gear in the diplomatic bag, and yeah, he was in all the robes that they wear out in that country, and yeah, some right interesting characters. think I got a bit of light sleep that afternoon. Tony was back from his visit about 4 o'clock. His visit's from about 2. And then he's back from his visit, and then we're open again just to go and get your food at 5 or whatever. Go and get your tea for the evening. And then that's it, banged up, you know. And then at about 7 o'clock, someone would come round, the tea urn would come round, you know. One of the screws would come round with a con, and they'd have a big, you know, like boiling water tea urn, a bit full of tea. We used to call it diesel, ready-made tea, you know, just about drinkable if you could add a little bit of your own milk and a little bit of sugar. But I mean, I have drunk it without extra milk or sugar, but it was better than nothing. So basically, you got a little bit of biscuit with that or something, maybe a little bit of shortcake or something, you know, and then bang, you banged up then till the next morning, till 7 the next morning. Yeah, so that's just a little bit of the routine there, guys. And obviously, you know, the same thing that happened with me the night before, you know, the same thing. The shits all night, having to make shit parcels, a bit of sickness, you know, hadn't really eaten much. I think if I'd tried to eat too much, it would have made it even a lot worse, you know. But like I say, I had a decent cellmate, and he said to me, even, I remember him saying to me, I can get you something brought up if you want, you know. And I said, no, don't worry, I'm waiting on Judgment Chambers to get out at any time, which I did, luckily. You know, I got out on a surety, you know, from Horseferry Road Magistrates, luckily, you know. So yeah, guys, yeah, look, this is a 20-minute story, we're not finished yet, so just going through the comparisons of how it was and the changes. So that was the first man's prison I was in, was Wormwood Scrubs. Before then, like I've said before, in 86 I was in Ashford Remand Centre and Rochester Young Offenders Institution, or Rochester Borstal, whatever you want to call it. Also spent a little bit of time in Chelmsford Young Offenders Institution. That's where they used to film a bit of, as far as I know, they used to do a bit of filming there for, it was HMP Slade for the, you know, Ronnie Barker in Porridge and that, which was a brilliant TV show, as many of you will remember. Yeah, so yeah, done a bit of time in Chelmsford. After that, after Chelmsford, I was taken on a coach. A whole load of us went on a coach, all cuffed up, one to each other, down to Rochester again. And I think I got free from the court that time. So and after that, yeah, a bit of time in Feltham. I think I'd done a month in there for financial penalties, and a couple of bits of time on remand. But I do remember in Feltham, yeah, I did say earlier that the first time I went to a prison with a toilet was that was in the cell was Belmarsh, but I do forget things a lot, but actually it wasn't, it was Feltham. You know, the new Feltham Young Offenders Centre did have, you know, it was more modern and it had toilets in the cell and stuff, you know. Yeah, and I was on a couple of wings there, Peacock and Kestrel, I think it was. But the funny thing was, all the wings were named after birds there in Feltham. And I remember looking out of my cell, I think it was on the ones when I was on Kestrel. And I see a load of peacocks, you know, these lovely bright blue and green birds with their big tail feathers. Yeah, lovely thing to see when you're in there, you know, better than looking at some scabby old pigeons. But apart from that, yeah. So we're going on to 91 now, and I'm in not Wormwood Scrubs, sorry, I got arrested in Deptford and was at Tower Bridge Magistrates, and I got remanded in custody to Belmarsh. And it had only just opened then, Belmarsh, and like I say, it was one of the new prisons, which the government built loads of them because there was prior to all this there'd been people had been spending time in police custody because all the prisons were full up and stuff like that, and there'd been a lot of riots, like Strangeways riots and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, the government, they built a load of new prisons. One of them being Belmarsh, Highdown being another one, Whitemoor, yeah, quite a few of them. And so I found myself there, same situation, obviously worse now because the time I've been out, I've been back on the heroin and crack and the benzos again, as per usual. Regularly, 24/7 basically, 7 days a week, with heroin 4 to 6 times a day, depending on whether I was fixing it or smoking it. But if I was fixing it, it'd be a minimum of 4 injections a day, maybe 6 at the most, or as much as I could do really, but like I say, I got remanded. I got caught with some drugs on Pepys Estate there, and got remanded. Was taken to Deptford Police Station, caught in the morning, Tower Bridge Magistrates, and got remanded to Belmarsh. So yeah, going through reception and that. But I thought, it's modern, different, I'm going through reception, and it was all a case of, I don't think we see a doctor, I think we see like a nurse, before we went on the wing, or they decide whether you go on the wing or down the hospital, depending on how bad you appear. And I've never been one for sort of like faking stuff. I mean, I might have looked all right, but inside myself, I didn't feel too good. I didn't get anything in the police station, so I was on virtually 48 hours with nothing. So basically, they've said we're going to give you something to help you sleep and to stop the diarrhea and stuff, and I think that was it really. And then basically I was on the wing. And I remember, I think that night, they give me that, which I was lucky to get that. I think I got Valium in a liquid form, in the little plastic cups, like this pink liquid. I think I got that for 3 nights, and some stuff to stop the diarrhea, Imodium or something like that, or Buscopan, I think it might have been. And some anti-sickness pills, Cyclizine or something like that. But no, I didn't get any codeine or anything like that I can remember. I might have done, but I'm not sure. But basically, I would have needed a heavy dose of methadone, because I was actually on methadone on the outside, but they decided to ignore that, and they could have checked up on that, but they didn't. So they, I was on a lot. I would have been on like 80 mil or something outside, and a day, and obviously they didn't bother checking up about that, because apparently they didn't have to, and so I didn't get anything like that, so I did have terrible withdrawal that time, and I do remember, and I wouldn't be the first person to do this, I actually remember things got that bad, I actually smashed my head off the cell wall, trying to literally knock myself out, because that's how bad that's how bad that withdrawal feels. You just do not want to be awake. You do not want have that feeling. But the funny thing is, even when you do maybe possibly get a few seconds sleep, because that's all it'll be, you know, it'll be full of nightmares, and it seemed like you've had these nightmares that had lasted for ages, and you open your eyes and you realise you've only been asleep, if you even had been asleep, for not even 30 seconds or something. Yeah, horrendous. But at least with Belmarsh you had a toilet in your cell and a sink, you know, and it was a lot easier to clean yourself up. And I did find with Belmarsh, the best thing to do, you know, rather than trying to sleep, because it was never going to happen, was just, and the nightmares were so bad, if you did get a little bit of sleep, I'd end up not wanting to go to sleep anymore anyway, and possibly that was the best way to soldier through it. Because what you've got to remember as well, they gave me Thorazine again, that Mellaril, they gave that to me again in Belmarsh, which I'd had that in the scrubs, and people were saying, well, I thought that had been banned already, but apparently not. But me, you know, knowing full well that it possibly, because it stopped the moving about a bit, but it did in other ways make me feel a lot worse, but me, I still took it. But like, yeah, that's literally how bad it was, you know. I was literally trying to smash my head off the wall to try and knock myself out, you know, and I've never really told many people that. It is quite embarrassing, but there's a lot of people that have done that before, you know. It didn't work. It didn't work for knocking me out, you know, so, you know. So yeah, that's just another time. And like I say, this sort of stuff went on, the withdrawal just went on for weeks, you know, and basically the only way I could get ease off that withdrawal was either getting a bit of heroin off the wing, off another con, another mate or whatever, or getting something brought up via the visiting room, you know. If I was remand, they could just come up. Otherwise, if I was convicted, I'd have to send out a VO, you know. And you might have not had nothing. I might have been ill for a week, and then, you know, the relief of having something after that week with nothing or whatever, and how much better I felt just to get one night's sleep, you know, because a lot of it with the withdrawal, where you don't have no sleep at all, it just makes everything feel, you know, 1,000 times worse. Well, it did in my eyes anyway. Anyway, guys, like I say, I will leave it here for now. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm 30 minutes in. Like I say, I haven't done much for a couple of weeks, but like I say, I do suffer a little depression, but the channel's helping me with that, you know. And another good thing is I'm nearly at 750 subscribers, so hopefully another 250 or so and I'll be at 1,000 subscribers, and hopefully get monetized. Because what I really want to do is, when I do my stories, I want to go to the areas, you know, where these stories happen, the parts of London, the parts of South London, or all over London, or near the prisons where these things happened and stuff, you know. And also there's a lot more coming from me as well, you know. So I'm sorry I haven't done anything for a while, and I just hope you're all really well. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks to all the subs as well. Thanks for all your support, and I'll speak to you all soon. And I hope you enjoyed my video on Behind the Bars TV at Ricky Killeen's Behind the Bars TV. If you haven't seen it, have a look. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.